using BBBEE status as a criteria for dispersing COVID-19 funds in the tourism sector is unlawful. This is the finding of the Supreme Court of Appeal. An application was brought by AfriForum and Solidarity. Well, let's discuss that decision. I'm joined now by Jacques Broodryk from AfriForum. Jacques, good morning. Thank you for joining me. So you must be feeling vindicated in that your arguments prevailed in the Supreme Court of Appeal, that the Minister of Tourism was not required to use the BBBEE criteria as one of the qualifiers for funding under this COVID-19 relief fund.
Good morning to Liz. Thank you for the opportunity. Yes, we're very happy with the ruling. It is disappointing, though, that we had to go to such lengths to get the minister to realize that she wasn't acting in accordance with the law.
What disadvantage did it bring about in terms of, I presume that you brought the case on behalf of participants in the tourism sector. What disadvantage did it bring about a segment of the tourism industry?
Well, as you know, the COVID-19 lockdowns had a massive impact on the tourism and hospitality industry. People were not able to perform business, and they weren't able to work, and they weren't able to pay their staff members. And it's still ongoing. And obviously, when the minister decided to hand out aid to role players in the tourism sector, it was the right thing to do. But it was not acceptable that they decided that it needed to be subject to BEE requirements. So a lot of white-owned businesses were not able to get relief through state grants, and we felt that that was unacceptable and it was discrimination.
And in terms of the difficulty that it then posed to them, I imagine that the logic goes that all businesses in the tourism sector had encountered difficulties regardless of their BBBEE status.
That is correct, Tulas. We know the lockdowns didn't discriminate against anyone based on skin color. Neither does the COVID-19 virus, so it wouldn't make sense for government to want to discriminate against people based on their skin color.
So, Jacques, in terms of, whatever other relief that the government could be contemplating going forward, I'm trying to understand now whether this entitles those businesses that were previously disqualified by virtue of them not meeting certain, levels of empowerment in terms of the BEE codes of the tourism industry. Are you looking retrospectively that they should benefit from that previous round of relief, or does this apply going forward should the industry need any further COVID-19 or any other relief that perhaps these principles that have been laid down by this judgment should hold?
Well, I hope that that this will encourage white-owned tourism operators, tourism businesses to also apply for relief now. I'm not sure how much of those funds are left that the minister availed. I don't know if there's anything left, but we do encourage people to apply. And you said retrospectively, one of the judgment clearly stated that monies that have been paid out already will not be regained. And we also welcome that decision because black-owned tourism businesses obviously suffered because of the lockdowns and COVID, and we're glad that there are businesses that were able to get help from the government. It's just disappointing that the minister decided to discriminate against certain people.
So if we do concentric circles then, Jacques, around this issue, you and I have just been talking about the judgment, its outcome and its impact on the various sectors, various players in the tourism industry. If we move one layer outside those concentric circles and discuss the principle of the matter, some will say that this betrays a position on the part of AfriForum that is opposed to policies such as broad-based black economic empowerment, which actually have their foundation in the constitution of the country.
That is correct, and we respect the Constitution, but we are allowed to disagree with certain elements of the Constitution, and we do disagree with the black economic empowerment policies, especially in the way that they are rolled out at the moment. We know that it's not effective, it's being abused, and it's being used to enrich political elites and their connections. So we are definitely opposed to that, at the way that it is being managed.
So this judgment and ensuring that white South Africans who run tourism businesses benefit from government relief, the fight you've fought, is not going to be coupled by a message on your side that says to the industry, hang on, the fact that so many of you fell on the wrong side when the minister wrongly concluded that she would include BBBEE compliance in the criteria. The fact that so many of you fell outside of the ambit of that benefit, that intended benefit, is a cause for concern. You're not going to be pushing that message to say you also in the tourism industry should be doing more to achieve the spirit of Section 9.2 of the Constitution that has to do with taking measures to advance those who are previously disadvantaged.
Well, it's not my place or AfriForum's place to tell people how to run their businesses, but obviously we want to see a growing and a successful tourism sector. And I think the tourism sector has already transformed quite a bit. I don't have those stats in front of me, but I think it's one of the more transformed industries in the country. And we support free and fair business, and everyone should be able to compete should they have the desire to do so.
Just out of interest, Jacques, if you are able to talk to this, if you are saying that you fully respect the Constitution, and then there's the qualifier that says, but you have a right to disagree with elements of the Constitution. That doesn't sound right, does it not? I mean, if you either accept the Constitution wholly or you don't. And if you don't accept the Constitution... Yeah, I would say you have a real problem in South Africa because, for instance, the vindication of the rights that you are fighting for came from the very same Constitution. Why is one element of it acceptable and another not acceptable?
Everyone, we're individuals to this, and I disagree with you. I think you can respect the law and the Constitution even though you might not agree with everything on it. The same way that you respect court decisions and judgments even though you might not agree with it. So I do disagree with you. I'd respectfully agree to disagree that you can respect the Constitution and still not agree with some elements of it 100%.
Would you say then that to the extent that there are people who not oppose the way that BBBEE and affirmative action are implemented, therefore method, to the extent that there are people who oppose the entire principle that we even need such a policy as suggested by Section 9.2 of the Constitution, those people are, constitutional delinquents in a way, in that they don't comply with the Constitution. I don't know, what would you say to that element? I hear that your issue is with the implementation thereof, but what about the principle, those who reject the entirety of the principle?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to state your question a bit clearer to us. I'm not sure what exactly your question is. Can you just rephrase that?
So let me say, how do we achieve in your view as AfriForum, how do we achieve the objectives that are suggested by Section 9.2 of the Constitution that talks about measures that may be taken to advance people historically disadvantaged? And this falls well within the rules around equality of all before the law in our country. There's nothing wrong with it. How do we advance it, given that you are critical of the way that BBBEE is being implemented, and I suppose by the current government? So what is the alternative to achieve what the Constitution instructs?
First of all, the government needs to stop being as corrupt as they are. The money that is being spent needs to be spent in the right places and on the right people who show potential, people who really want to make it work, and people who have a passion for what they do. It shouldn't be funneled to family members and ANC cadres. And government needs to focus on getting the basics right. They need to focus on getting the education system on track, and they need to ensure people have access to higher education as well. And then obviously to funding, so that they can start businesses, and they need to be helped to start those businesses up. That is the basics that they need to get right, and the country will go in a much, much better economic direction.
So those who are intended to be beneficiaries of the provisions that I keep referring to in the Constitution, what's your message to them? Should they wait until the government gets the basics right and stops being corrupt for them to enjoy the kind of advancement that the Constitution envisages for people who are historically disadvantaged?
No, of course not. And I wouldn't have done that either. If I had an opportunity, I would have taken it. So I would encourage people with real entrepreneurial drive and people with a passion for it to go ahead and make a success of things. At the end of the day, the more successful South Africans there are, the more successful the country is, and everyone benefits from it. The bigger we grow the pie, the more people can eat, if I can put it that way. So no, I'm not saying anyone needs to wait and not get involved in business, and if they have opportunities to get funding from government. I'm saying government needs to get their house in order.
All right, I hear you. Thank you for engaging me on this. It was really on the outer concentric circles flowing from the judgment in which you were victorious in the Supreme Court of Appeal. That's Jacques Broodryk from AfriForum there, reacting to the Supreme Court of Appeal decision around the application of broad-based black economic empowerment as a criterion for benefit from the Tourism COVID-19 Relief Fund.